Greetings and the most heartfelt of salutations, everybody. Welcome here to the channel and to John Campea's Open Mic, where it's literally that. It's an open mic for you to step up to and talk about things you want to talk about. What are the topics, questions, theories, whatever that you guys want to discuss that's going on in the world of movies, movie news, TV, and streaming, all that sort of good stuff. I'm, of course, John Campea. How you doing? There's an echo in the room. How you doing, guys? Good to have you here. Welcome back this afternoon. We got Ray Ora's in the house with us.
Hey.
Jonathan Voico's joining me. And here we are going to do today a special 2-hour in-depth retro review of Young Doctors in Love. I think it's important. No, that's only for some of you guys who were here at yesterday's show. Hey, so yeah, bro, that's what we're going to do. Good to have you here, guys. And you know what? I got one thing I want to talk about here first before we get into your questions. And by the way, there are 2 different ways you can send in a question to be addressed on Open Mic. The first way is by using our tip link. If you're not watching the show live and it's like, I don't know, maybe you're on your lunch break and the show doesn't start a few more hours, you can use our tip link at streamelements.com/JohnCampea/tip to send in a question. Or, as many of you like to do, you can wait till the show is live and you're watching live and you can use the super chat feature to send in a question there. And as long as your thought, theory, question, or opinion is appropriate to be used on our show, we will address it here. All right, now before we get into any of that stuff, I want to talk about this. We've just finished making a standalone video about this, but Flash now has their official reviews out. And I'm going to tell you, they're a little bit lower than I thought they would be. Not a ton lower, but a little bit lower. Now, I was saying in the video that you guys remember when I did my out of theater review of Flash last month. The first thing I said was, look, all the talk about being one of the greatest comic book movies of all time, I said it's not. It's not one of the greatest of all time. I mean, all film is subjective. Maybe you think it will, and that's fine. But I mean, for me, I said, yeah, it's not one of the greatest of all time, but it's great. I had a great time. I really like this film. All the Ezra Miller garbage aside, and Ezra should never be allowed to play Flash again, but all aside of that, the movie's great. And I had a good time. And I really didn't think critics would find it to be the greatest comic book movie of all time. But I thought most of them would like it. And to be fair, most of them do. Now, when we recorded our video earlier, 58 full reviews had come out, and it was holding a 72%. Well, breaking news. Update. The critic score has gone up.
Of course it has.
A whopping 1%. You bring it up on the screen there, Jonathan. Whopping 1%. It was at 58 reviews and had a 72. Now 64 reviews and it's got a 73.
We're in an uptrend.
Bring it on up. Now look, even let's say it doesn't change. Let's say it stays what it's 73. That's a good score. A 73 is a good score. It means out of 100 critics, 73 liked it, 27 did. It's a clear majority. A clear majority of critics liked the film. I didn't think this movie would get like a 95 or higher, but I'm not going to lie. I was kind of expecting to see it in the mid-80s. I expected to see like around 85. At the very, very top end, maybe the low 90s. And I see some people, it's just crazy to me how people misinterpret critic reviews, because I'm like Iciness, good friend Iciness in the live chat there saying barely passing. That's not true at all. 72 to 27 or 73 to 27 is a blowout. Make no mistake, 73 to 27 is a blowout. That is not barely passing. You get 100 people see a movie in the room, and then on this side, the people who liked it, 73 of them to only 27. Yeah. That's not barely passing. That is a blowout, okay? It's a good score. It ain't Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse's 95.
Oh, gosh.
I know, I shouldn't be comparing that, because that is the best comic book movie of the year, and maybe the greatest comic book film of all time, unlike what Flash was boasting. But still, I was expecting the number to be even just a little bit higher. I was. Apparently, reading through, I had a chance since we recorded that video to sit down and read some more of the reviews. And yeah, it kind of turns out what we suspected, that, the third act of the film, it gets a little disjointed. I still really like the third act of the film, but the third act of the film is where it gets a little bit disjointed and stuff like that. And it seems that we were right when we were suspecting from reading the reviews that a number of the critics, that really hit them a little bit harder than it hit us. Like, I really didn't mind some of the disjointedness in the third act, but whatever, all film is subjective. It hits everybody in different ways. But yeah, I mean, again, it's 73 to 27 is a very clear vast majority of the critics like the film.
I'm thinking, like, even though I stand by what I've said about it, I'm thinking we should do a second review for when it does come out, because it's been so long and we don't know what they didn't put in. I mean, it's not going to change the review, I know, but you know, maybe I remembered it differently.
Well, we got to see it for a second time first, right?
Yeah.
I wouldn't want to do another review of it, like, now that we're a month removed from when we saw it last. I think maybe once we see it again, I'll come out and do it.
Change, we should bring it up.
Yeah, I mean, again, you're right. It won't change the overall, like, whatever little thing they add or take away at the end is not going to change the overall review of the movie. But I think I need to see it again and have it fresher in my mind before we kind of try to get back to reviewing that. So yeah, I mean, there you go, guys. Those are the scores that we have lined up right now. Again, clear, heavy majority of the critics like it. I just thought it would be even higher.
Should we haven't done one of these in a while. Should we do a poll that says, do these reviews change your mind about going to see the movie?
I don't know if we should even do a poll about it, because it's not like the reviews are 43% or 100%.
Right.
Like, right? It's 73. It's 73. So
Audience the way to 74, baby.
I mean, I think
baby.
if you weren't looking forward to this film, a 73 isn't going to change anything. And I think if you were looking forward to the film, I don't think a 73 changes anything. I think it was like a 37% or a 99, then maybe, but I don't know. It's going to be interesting to see. All right. Hey guys, listen, I'm sure you guys are going to have some things you want to ask and talk about this topic. I'm sure it'll come up through the rest of the show, but let's jump over now and get to the tip questions that you guys sent in, those of you who are not watching live. We'll go to those questions here first. So Jonathan, what do we got?
Okay, first up, Jay Bling. Things can change, but it feels counterintuitive to think that Hobbs wouldn't be back for part 2 when his standalone movie is meant to bridge part 1 and 2. It should be noted that Dwayne Johnson and Vin Diesel are both producers on the Hobbs movie.
Irrelevant. Vin Diesel is going to be a producer on it regardless, just because of his overall kind of stewardship of the Fast and Furious franchise period. So that really doesn't mean anything. No, it's not counterintuitive at all. I think what we're going to see here, we're going to see the events. You know what it's like? It's like the events of Rogue One, right? Rogue One kind of bridges the events of the things that happen in the Star Wars universe prior to the Battle of Yavin, and then lead us up to the events of Star Wars. It bridges there. I think Dwayne Johnson's story is going to kind of be the same thing. This obviously going to involve Dante. It's going to set Dante up for where Dante is going to be by the time Fast and the Furious 11 comes out. Listen, again, let me make clear. I am not saying Dwayne Johnson will definitively not be in Fast 11. I'm not saying that. What I'm saying is, my estimation is that he won't be. My guess is he won't be. I think this is going to be kind of a standalone film that will utilize the events surrounding Fast 10 and 11, but that happens separate from the main cast. So I'm not expecting to see Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson in Fast 11. Again, I can't guarantee it. I'm just saying that's my guess. All right, what's next?
Okay, we've got Ginger, who writes, Ted Lasso is one of my absolute favorite TV shows. Although I hated to see it end, I believe it was time and that any spin-offs would only diminish the original. I'm curious on your thoughts of the finale, Nate's arc, and then and possible spin-offs.
It's not over. I don't believe the show's over. When a show is over, they make a big deal out of marketing the series finale. All shows do this. They make a big deal out of that. And we talked about this the other day, the day before the Ted Lasso finale aired. Apple sent out their press releases and they never called it the series finale. They, in every single circumstance, they made sure to go out of their way to say the season 3 finale. And 4 different places in the press release. So it wasn't just a little semantic error. It was always season 3 finale, not series finale. And then when you go onto your Apple TV Plus app and you go to the episode, it specifically says in the episode description, the season 3 finale. Whereas with other shows and things like that, you'll see series finale. in the story finale of whatever, like in the series finale, blah, blah, but it was always season 3 finale. So while there have been no announcements or anything like that, I do believe it's going to be back. That being said, I really like Ted Lasso season 3. Although I mentioned this before, somebody, I can't remember which outlet it was. One of the bigger outlets wrote an article basically saying Ted Lasso season 3 was a disaster. And I read through all their reasoning. And here's the funny thing. I agreed with all their reasoning, but I still really enjoyed the season. Like they pointed out, one of the biggest things that gets pointed out about season 3 was that season 3 wasn't even about Ted Lasso. It felt like every 2 episodes was about a different cast member. So you had the guy opening his restaurant. So there was that story. You had the one guy on the team coming out as gay. There was that story. You had the side story going on with Keely with her girlfriend. That was that story. You had a story with Roy and Jamie. And there was that story. And it felt like every episode and a half was a completely different story. And under normal circumstance, I would agree, yeah, that's a terrible thing to do with your season. But I don't know, for me, just because I love the characters in the show so much, I still didn't mind it. I still quite enjoyed it. And listen, was it really a stretch that at the end of the show, the team owner would just happen to look up and see that the airplane pilot was the mysterious man she ran into in Paris? Yeah, I can't disagree. That was pretty much a big leap. But it made me smile anyway. So, I really liked the finale myself. All right, what's next?
Wesley is next, who writes, let me just go down a little bit here. Sup, crew? Haven't seen Fast X. You're okay then. But from all I hear about it, budget, box office, expected, ridiculous nonsense, etc., I can't see them investing unspent money into 2 more. I mean, X was originally meant to be 2 parts. Maybe they'll just fall back on the old plan.
Yeah, I mean, they're really one of 2 things I think 2 things are going to happen. Number 1, Universal and Vin Diesel are having meetings where Universal is telling Vin Diesel, whatever you thought your budget was going to be for Fast 11, yeah, you can forget that. Because Fast 10 is going to lose money. And the only reason Fast 10 is going to lose money is because it's one of the most expensive films in cinematic history at $340 million. That's idiotic. And by the way, I don't even blame Vin Diesel. If I'm Vin Diesel and I say, will you give me $40 bajillion? And they say, sure, then that's the studio's fault. That ain't even Vin's fault. All right, let's be clear. That ain't Vin's fault. You ask for what they say yes to. And if they say yes, ask for $5 more and keep asking for more until they finally say no. That's on the studio. But the studio with this one losing money, I'm guaranteeing you, they're telling Vin Diesel right now that don't expect the same budget. You don't get to spend $340 million on the next movie because we're not going to lose money again. So that's the one thing that's going to happen. The second thing that's going to happen is I think that 3rd film in the Fast X trilogy that Vin Diesel has been teasing, that's off the table. With this movie losing money, I think that's off the table. So, that was my thoughts on that. All right, what's next?
All right. Full Boyle writes, hello, I saw your discussion that showed, excuse me, a noticeable box office drop for Thor 4, partially due to its quality. Do you think it could have been also been due to it not releasing in China and Russia? Ragnarok made 112 million in China and 23 million in Russia.
I mean, whenever you always have to take into consideration when you're looking at the final worldwide global total about which markets did it play in, which markets did it not. So does that play a role? Yes. The difference is there's a lot of people who think China, I think there've been, and not just with Thor, like with a lot of different movies, think, well, if it played in China, that would have made it $400 million more dollars. It's like, no. In most cases, China makes in the 2 digits, sometimes even just 1 digit in the millions, and sometimes 2, very, very rarely in 3. So it's not a world dominating, changing thing. But still, the point of it is, even if you thought, like we saw the worldwide total drop, so you can safely assume that the Chinese total would have dropped as well. So even then, it still wouldn't have been as big of a hit as we're accustomed to seeing in that projection of MCU films going up and stuff like that. So I don't really take that much into consideration, to be honest with you. Not to mention the whole world is still kind of figuring out where the movie industry is right now, because we are still right now in the waning days of it, but we're still in the after effects of the pandemic, right? The movie theater going industry is still in the after effects of the pandemic, and we're getting through it. We're almost all the way out of it, but it's still something to take into consideration. All right, what's next?
Okay, moving on to super chats here. Southius writes, I'm also a roller coaster enthusiast. The amount of gatekeeping in that sphere is on par with movie fandom. You don't like this ride, you don't know anything about roller coasters. It's annoying.
I have to tell you, if I ever saw anybody having that debate, I would literally just laugh in their face and not even try to be polite about it. I was going to say, really? That's what you're arguing? Listen, I'll be honest with you too. I can't say I don't ride any roller coasters, but I don't ride many roller coasters because somewhere between the age of 18 and 24, I can't pinpoint exactly where, I have no idea how or why I developed a fear of heights. I actually have a fear of heights. And I don't know how that developed. I remember being 18, 19 years old. And I mean, there was a old farm field not far from where I grew up at 56 Carson Drive in Hamilton, Ontario. And it had to be a good 70 feet tall. And like, I still remember, well, before 18, like I was like 14, 15, we would literally climb. It was an abandoned farm silo. We would literally climb the rusty thing up to the top and like walk around the top of the silo. No problem with heights. And then at some point I just developed a fear of heights. And so I can still do like roller coasters that are like low to the ground, no matter how fast or twisty the turns, because I'm kind of close to the ground. But when it comes to like really tall roller coasters, I actually have a fear of heights and I have a problem with it. It's part of the reason why I don't like flying. It's because I don't actually mind the flying. It's that I know I'm, 20,000 feet up in the air. That's the part. I remember once, I think it was one of my aunts, we were talking about the fact that I don't like flying. I mean, I will fly when I need to fly. I fly. I just suck it up and I do it. But I remember talking to one of my aunts once and saying to me, well, do you mind the landing? I'm like, no, I love landing. And she says, well, do you know that's where like the vast majority of airplane incidents happen during landing? I'm like, I don't care. Once the wheels touch the ground, we can spin out, roll, do whatever. That's fine. I'm on the ground and it's perfectly fine. It ain't a fear of flying. It ain't a fear of dying. It's a fear of heights. And so because there's no better feeling for me when I'm on a plane than looking out the window and I see the ground getting closer and closer and closer. Like, I don't like looking out the window when I'm flying because of fear of heights, but I'll peek out the window and say, okay, now I got a sense of how high we are. Now I wait about 2 minutes and I look again just to see that we're even closer to the ground than we were before. That is the best feeling in the world to me. But no, all that is to say, I don't ride a lot of roller coasters just because they're just too high for me. All right, what's next?
Thank you.
Real Life Entertainment writes, hi crew. Am I the only one who has hesitations about Beyond the Spider-Verse coming out next year? Is it too late to announce a delay? You guys rock.
Why?
Yeah, why do they need to delay it?
Why would you delay it?
It's not rushed. It was already written.
Oh, no, they've been working on this for 5 years.
Yeah.
They've been working on these films for 5 years. They've had plenty of time. And by the way, this reminds me of something that George Lucas once said. And then he promptly ignored his own advice. But still, he said something once that I've heard other filmmakers agree with, which is this. There is this mistaken idea amongst film fans that the longer people work on something, the better it will be. That's not true. At some point, when you're working on a project, you get it to its best place. And then when you just keep tinkering with it after that, it's just lowering quality after that. You start changing things that you shouldn't change. Like, you had it at its peak at one point in the creative process. At some point, you just got to say, and I've heard George Lucas say this, actually, I've heard Christopher Nolan say this too. At some point, you just have to say, it's done, right? Yes, you could just keep working on it.
But sir, we didn't do the ADR yet. And Nolan's like, no, it's done.
ADR? Who cares about ADR?
It's done.
Nobody cares about audio or dialogue. But Yeah,
That's exactly how he would say it too.
And it's probably I just nailed the accent too. At some point, you just got to say it's done and move on. So it's not like if they worked another 5 years on it, then it would be awesome. Well, no, not necessarily. It could be worse off for it. So, but they've had 5 years to put these two films together. By the time the next one comes out, it'll be 6 years. So nothing to worry about. I think we're all in pretty good hands. All right, guys, listen. We got a lot more to get to, but before we continue on, we're going to take a second here and thank two sponsors of today's episode of John Campea's Open Mic, our friends at Honey and my mobile service provider, Mint Mobile. Today's episode of the John Campea Show is brought to you by Honey, the easy way to save when shopping on your iPhone or computer. Guys, more and more, we enjoy shopping online, whether it's on our phones or our computers. And how many times have you gotten to the checkout and seen that promo code box and thought, man, if I only had a promo code, I could save some money? Well, thanks to Honey, manually searching for coupon codes is a thing of the past. Honey is the free shopping tool that scours the internet for promo codes and applies the best one it finds to your cart. So here's the situation. You're shopping online on one of your favorite sites, and when you go to checkout, the Honey button appears, and all you have to do is click Apply Coupons. Then just wait a few seconds as Honey works its magic and searches for coupons it can find for that site that you're on. And if Honey finds working coupon, just watch the price drop. Recently, Ann and I were hanging out at home one evening and we decided to order in, and the Honey button appeared. I was able to apply a coupon and I actually saved like $6 or $7. It was that easy to use. And Honey doesn't just work on your desktop computer, it also works on your iPhone. Just activate it on Safari on your phone and save on the go. If you don't already have Honey, you could be straight up missing out. And by getting it, you'll be doing yourself a solid and supporting this show. Get Honey for free at joinhoney.com. We want to thank a sponsor of this video, Mint Mobile. From the gas pump to the grocery store, your utility bills and favorite streaming services, inflation is everywhere. Seriously, make it stop. Thankfully, there's one company out there that's giving you a much needed break. It's Mint Mobile. As the first company to sell premium wireless service online only, Mint Mobile lets you order from home and save a ton with phone plans starting at just $15 a month. You guys know that ever since I switched to Mint Mobile, I've been saving almost 70% a month over my old phone plan. For people looking for extra savings this year, Mint Mobile offers premium wireless for just $15 a month. By going online only and eliminating the traditional cost of retail, Mint Mobile passes the significant savings on to you. All of their plans come with unlimited talk and text plus high-speed data delivered on the nation's largest 5G network. Use your own phone with any Mint Mobile plan and keep your same phone number along with all your existing contacts. Switch to Mint Mobile and get premium wireless service starting at just $15 a month. To get your new wireless plan for just $15 a month and get the plan shipped to your door for free, go to mintmobile.com/Campea. That's mintmobile.com/Campea. Cut your wireless bill to $15 a month at mintmobile.com/Campea. And thank you to our friends at Honey and, of course, my mobile service provider, Mint Mobile, for sponsoring this episode of John Campea's Open Mic. All right, that down. Let's get back over to your questions here. By the way, did you guys see that for those of you who are channel members, Ray threw in some new emojis.
Oh, yeah.
He put in some new emojis there for our channel members. We got a Henry Cavill emoji. We got a Euro Pussy emoji. Of course, he had to put in Euro Pussy. We got my dogs, Lily and Shadow. He put a weenie in there just because those are my dogs. Anyway, some really good stuff in there. All right.
Black Adam.
Oh, yeah, I forgot. He put a Black Adam in there for every time we reference Black Adam.
A very good topic.
Excellent Black Adam one. All right. What's next?
All right. Sam Fisher's next. I really hope Spider-Man is in Spider-Verse 3. That is a Spider-Man that is actually a colony of spiders, and they're Peter Parker because they ate him.
I'm sorry. I've never heard of that. That sounds actually utterly ridiculous.
Spiders, man.
Yeah, I hope that's not in the next one. I'll be honest with you. I really, as a matter of fact, you know what? Here's the thing. What I hope they don't do in Beyond the Spider-Verse, I want them now to reel it in a little bit, right? You did your whole bonkers, look at all the millions of Spider-Men. Now what I want them to do in the third film is draw it in, really just focus on Miles, Gwen, the team Gwen has together, Miguel, Spot, just kind of keep it on there. We've already done now the whole, look at all the thousands of Spider-Men. We've done it, and it was awesome, but we've done it. Let's now move on to that and just get back to just pure narrative storytelling. That's what I'd like to see in Beyond the Spider-Verse. Yeah. All right, what's next?
All right. Stefan DeLint Wooters writes, Isn't the main problem for Batman Beyond animated movie that WB doesn't have an in-house studio capable of making theatrical quality animated movies?
I don't believe that's true. I don't think that's true. I think they do. I think Warner Brothers does have an animation studio, unless they like recently closed it down, but I think they do. And even if they didn't, they can just get another. I mean, listen, Warner Brothers, James Gunn is doing animated movies with DC, so that's really not the problem. They have avenues to making these things if they want to make them. If they want to make them. All right, what's next?
All right. John Redcorn writes, if Indy 5 underperforms, what happens to Kennedy?
Kathleen Kennedy?
Yeah.
Nothing, because I've already told, she's already done. She's already done. I said this last year that I think you're going to see Indiana Jones 5 come out first, and then several months will pass after that, and then an announcement will be made that Kathleen Kennedy has decided to explore new opportunities, or whatever way they're going to announce it. So whether Indiana Jones 5 made $3 billion at the box office, or whether Indiana Jones 5 makes $5 million at the box office, I really don't, it doesn't change anything, I don't think. I still believe that is what's happening. I'm thinking when's it coming out? In June?
It's July.
So
let me look. Yeah.
Yeah, June, July. So August, September. I'd say December, January, we'll probably get an announcement that she's moving on, regardless of what happens with Indiana Jones. I hope it's good, though. I mean, we're heard mixed things coming out of the Cannes Film Festival,
I know.
and they released that at the Cannes Film Festival expecting they were going to get some really positive buzz, and they did not get the buzz that they were expecting. So it's going to be really interesting. I'm just dying to hear how those conspiracy theorists, Disney pays off critics. I just want to see them explain that. That they played it at the Cannes Film Festival and got really mixed reviews. At any rate, I hope it's good, though. The footage they showed us at CinemaCon, they showed us like a 15-minute scene at CinemaCon. I quite enjoyed it. It felt very Indiana Jones to me, but, you know, I've seen footage at CinemaCon that I really loved and then seen the movies and didn't really love the movie. So I'm just going to keep my fingers crossed that this one's going to be good. At least I hope it is. All right, what's next?
All right, Orange Hand writes, what's your favorite incarnation of dragons?
Ooh. There's a novel called The Pride by John Campea. That is my favorite incarnation of dragons ever. No, my favorite incarnation of dragons. I mean, the Game of Thrones ones are actually pretty damn good. It's hard to go against that one.
Mine is Bruce Leroy. The last dragon, baby.
You know what's funny?
What? I mean,
why do you call him Bruce Leroy?
What?
You said you didn't say Bruce Lee. You said Bruce Leroy.
Yeah, The Last Dragon. You don't remember that movie?
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember Bruce Lee, The Last Dragon.
No.
Is there a Bruce Leroy, The Last Dragon?
Yeah, it was the one with Shogun. Shonuff.
Oh, okay. You know what? Because I was thinking, because there's a UFC fighter who just fought this Saturday, and his nickname is Bruce Leroy. Alex, I want to say Alex Caracas. I can't remember his last name, but his name in it, because he's got this huge thing of hair and he's super slick. And
I'm talking about the movie.
His nickname is Bruce Leroy. Okay, I thought you were talking about that. By the way, for those of you who didn't know, little self-promotion here. This is the image. This is the dragon I'm talking about. That's the cover of my book. And yes, that is the greatest incarnation of dragons ever. And I have no bias in that whatsoever. Okay, what's next?
All right. Michael Jones writes, Guardians 3 is headed for about 850 million worldwide. Let's say it gets there or over under 50%. Guardians 3 is the second highest grossing movie of the year.
By the way, Michael sent in a $20 super chat.
Thank
Thank you so much for that, Michael. Ooh, that's first of all, congratulations, James Gunn and Guardians of the Galaxy 3. It's going to cross $800 million. Everybody was saying would never get that high because comic book movie fatigue. When we try to tell everybody no such thing as comic book movie fatigue, there's only mediocre movie fatigue. And once you start putting out movies that aren't mediocre anymore, you're going to see the audiences coming back. Anyway, that aside. I mean, it's a great result. Whew. Yeah, if you had asked me that question at the beginning of the year, I'd say 0% that, like, say 850 was going to end up being the second biggest box office total of the year. But I mean, as of right now, it's looking pretty good. I don't know that Across the Spider-Verse, which is the best movie of the year, I don't know that Across the Spider-Verse is going to get to 800 million. Hope it does, but I don't think it will. Then you're looking at films like Dune. I think Dune's going to do really well, like much better than the first one. What are some others that have a good chance? I mean, it's not going to be Transformers.
Dude's probably the only big hitter that I could think of that's coming out.
I mean, I would have said Indiana Jones can cross 850, but now with the mixed reviews that it's getting, I'm not 100% about that. So I'll go over 50%. Like I won't say 80%, but I will go over 50% that Guardians of the Galaxy 3 ends up being the number 2 box office film of the year. Again, I still, there are a number of films we already mentioned and probably 1 or 2 that I'm forgetting about that will have a chance to try. Oh, and let's not forget about Mission Impossible.
All right.
Right? Mission Impossible could very well pass 850. So it's going to be close. But I do think Guardians, let's put it this way, Guardians will be in the top 5 highest grossing films of the year. All right, what's next?
Okay, we've got Joshua McGregor who writes, "Hey, John, in light of the Fast X post-credit scene, I was thinking, what if the trilogy Vin was hinting at included the Hobbs Bridge movie?
Oh.
I know that traditional, but what is he saying? Wait, it just jumped on me.
But is there
validity? I know
validity?
that's not traditional, but is there validity?
I'll tell you what. That would make sense. Okay, so just to put this, frame it all back in context, a little before the movie came out, before Fast X came out, Vin Diesel was doing a press line. It was with Michelle Rodriguez, and it came up that he kind of implied that there was going to be 3 movies. And we all just thought that meant that Fast X was going to be a trilogy, like Fast X Part 2, Fast X Part 3, or Fast 10, 11, and 12. With the announcement of the Bridge movie of Hobbs, maybe that's what Vin Diesel was referring to. You know what? I'm not going to say that's sure that's it. I'm not going to say for sure that that's the one, but that would make sense, right?
Right.
Maybe he had that in the back of his head that, hey, we got this one that Dwayne Johnson's doing without me, but that kind of counts as another one. So, and if it is being considered the Bridge, you know what? You might be 100% right about that. That could absolutely be what it was he was talking about. I don't know for sure, but it could be. That's a good thought. All right. Nice thinking, man. All right. What's next?
All right. The Empire Strikes Back Street Boys writes, exactly 9 years ago, Edge of Tomorrow premiered.
Wow. 9 years ago. One of the worst marketing campaigns in cinematic history.
Edge of Tomorrow. Oh, right. The Tom Cruise movie.
Yep. The movie that should have been called its original name, All You Need Is Kill. Very memorable name. All You Need Is Kill. You say that name, everybody would instantly know the movie you're talking about because that's a really unique, memory-snagging, attention-grabbing name. And that was the name of the original story. And then they gave it a afternoon soap opera name. As we look to the edge of tomorrow. It's such a stupid title. And then they couldn't even settle on that. Then they started playing around with, like on the DVD covers, they called it Live, Die, Repeat. I'm like, what kind of, how are you intentionally trying to make this confusing for people? And then the trailers were atrocious. Like it had this weird, like it was some mental mind game twisty movie. And remember the music they played? Like it was this somber, like they'd have like somebody riding a motorcycle and this somber music and it says, "This is not the end." And it was this real somber kind of thing. It just felt boring. It was a horrible marketing campaign.
It was.
And the opening weekend suffered, but thankfully people started seeing it and started spreading the word that the movie was awesome and more people, it had pretty good legs. But whenever I think about that movie, that's all I think about is just how truly horrible the marketing campaign for it was.
It could have made more money.
It could have made tons more money, and it deserved to make tons more money. The only movie I can think of that had a worse marketing campaign was John Carter. Yeah. That was it. John Carter and Edge of Tomorrow, 2 worst marketing campaigns I've ever seen executed for a big Hollywood feature film. All right, what's next?
Okay, John Adwall writes, are the reviews for Flash based on unfinished cut? No.
Listen, we saw the finished movie. Like there might have been, like I'm open that when we see it in theaters, they're like, the last 10 seconds had something extra. That doesn't change anything in a movie, right? Like even if, I almost said something that nobody should consider a spoiler because it doesn't happen, but people, so I don't know. Let's say, let me make up. If Jerry Seinfeld shows up in the last 10 seconds with Elaine and Kramer and George, and it turns out it's all a big they went into the Seinfeld universe. Okay, that would be kind of crazy, but it doesn't change, the last 10 seconds doesn't change the movie. So the reviews, whether they saw the same thing that we saw at CinemaCon, or whether it's some different kind of whatever, it wouldn't change the reviews, right? It wouldn't change the reviews.
But I could see myself saying, oh, I really love this movie. And then they give something like at the end that I really like. Then it turns it up a little bit more. I'm just going to start telling a little bit more people, hey, man, this movie's really good.
I don't know.
I mean, just a little bit. I mean, if you like the movie
like
and
if you
they give
like
you something
the ending,
you enjoy at the end.
It gives you a little extra hype, a little extra buzz, but it doesn't change your review.
No, definitely
right?
not.
Because you just sat through 2 hours and 20 minutes. What happens at the 2 hour, 20 minute, and 15-second mark isn't going to change the review.
People who don't like it are not going to like it.
Yeah, I agree. All right. What's next?
Orlando Orrego writes, after watching The Flash, did you get disappointment with Ezra with his actions that could affect the movie?
Dude, you have watched me for the last couple of years. I've been disappointed with Ezra Miller for a long time. Long time. I mean, and it does add to the tragedy of it that Andy Muschietti has made such a great film. It does add to the tragedy of the idiocy of Ezra Miller that it will negatively impact the movie. How much it'll impact it, I don't know. If it makes 75 million opening weekend, it could have made 90. If it makes 130 million opening weekend, it could have made 150. I mean, so it will negatively impact, and it adds to the tragedy of it. But I mean, my disappointment with Ezra Miller, who is an actor I really like, by the way. I think Ezra Miller is a tremendously gifted performer. I really do. But yeah, I've been severely disappointed with Ezra Miller for years. So yeah, there's that. Hey guys. Before we keep going on and get to the remainder of your questions for the rest of today's show, we're going to take another moment here and thank another sponsor of today's episodes. You want to go quick like the Flash? You can't have ball friction. Make sure you go and check out our friends at Manscaped. Father's Day is right around the corner and you haven't gotten your dad anything yet? Don't worry. That's where our sponsors, Manscaped, come in. You and I both know he needs some serious grooming in his life, so grab your dad the Performance Package 4.0 and he'll thank you for helping him tame that beastly hair. Go to manscaped.com and use code CAMPEA for 20% off plus free shipping. Guys, I don't know if your dad's anything like mine, but where my dad lacks some hair on top of his head, believe me, he makes up for it everywhere else on his body, and Manscaped is perfect for him. Manscaped is the only men's brand dedicated to below-the-waist grooming and perfected their game with the Lawnmower 4.0. This is the perfect gift, presenting a sleek, well-designed, and optimized grooming kit that says your balls will thank you right on the box. Their 4th-generation trimmer features a cutting-edge ceramic blade to reduce grooming accidents thanks to their advanced skin-safe technology. This upgraded trimmer includes a multifunction on-off switch that can engage a travel lock. This is great for any guy who does a lot of traveling. It also gives you the ability to turn the 4000K LED spotlight on and off when needed for a more precise shave. Haven't you always wanted to be able to shave your balls in the dark? And come on guys, almost all of our dads have that nose bush sticking out of their nose, right? Well, the Weed Whacker 2.0, the nose and ear hair trimmer, is the best nose trimmer on the market and the perfect gift for your dad. Guys, that's 20% off with free shipping at manscaped.com and use the code CAMPEA. Don't forget, you came from your dad's balls, so this year, show your original home some love with Manscaped. And thank you to Manscaped for making our balls comfy and smooth and happy places to visit. Probably should have ended after happy and smooth.
Yeah.
Anyway, thank you for sponsoring this episode. All right, let's get back to it here. Jonathan, what we got up next?
All right, The Empire Strikes Back, Street Boys is back. I took a look at the box office for Jumanji: Welcome to the Jungle, and the movie is only $4.7 million away from hitting the $1 billion club.
Yeah, that was that movie. I still remember when that came out. It was first of all, I couldn't believe how good it was when I saw it. Just how purely entertaining that movie is.
I think that was a good year too. For
It was a
movies in
really
general.
good year.
I forgot. Let me
And
look it up.
it didn't have the biggest opening. Actually, Ray, can you look up the opening weekend for Jumanji: Welcome to the Jungle? I don't even think it made 100 million opening weekend, if I'm not mistaken.
Was that the first?
Yeah, the first one,
Welcome to
not the Robin Williams one. The
No,
first one.
but I mean, was that the
opening
first
was
of the Rock ones?
36 million.
36 million was the opening.
Yeah. Domestic opening for Jumanji: Welcome to the Jungle 2017.
For 30 something million, and it went on to nearly make $1 billion, 900 and some odd million dollars. That thing just had legs. Everybody talked about how fun it was. It was so just refreshing and charming and fun. And Dwayne Johnson and Kevin Hart together were great. Karen Gillan was fantastic in it. I almost called him Joe Black. Jack Black was so good. So good in that movie. Everything knocked it out of the park with that film.
Guess what came out in 2017?
I'm about 300 films.
Like Logan.
No, Logan was 2018.
Oh, well, stupid Google is stupid. Forget it.
No. I stand corrected. No, I was thinking of Black Panther. Black Panther, Spider-Verse, and Infinity War came out in 2018. You're right. You're
Well,
right.
if that's correct, then it's Logan and like Kong Skull Island, Ragnarok, Wonder Woman, the first one.
Was Kong Skull Island only in 2017?
2017.
The Peter Jackson movie? For some reason.
Was that one?
No, that can't be right.
Jackson did Skull Island? I don't think he did Skull Island.
No. Kong Skull Island was the
Reboot with Brie Larson.
Yeah,
What was
And
Peter
Sam
Jackson's
Jackson.
called?
that was
That-
just King Kong.
That was just called King Kong.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, but they went to Skull Island.
Yeah.
Okay. Oh, the stupid titles. All right. What's next?
All right. The Empire Strikes Back Street Boys also writes, I was low-key hoping Universal would push for 59 more F&F films so the world can have F&F 69. Not that any of us today would be alive to see it.
Okay. But listen, what's stopping them in a movie franchise where they literally take a car to outer space? What is stopping them from calling Fast X Part 2 Fast 69? What's stopping them from doing that? Nothing is stopping them from doing that. They're just going to say, we hit the NAS and went right from 10 to 69.
Yeah, oh, dang.
That's going to be the catchphrase of the movie too. Take it to 69. Everything's better with 69.
Okay.
That's what they'll do.
Come on.
Yes, sir. Okay. What's
Joshua McGregor.
What happened to you?
I don't know. I'm sleep deprived right now, okay?
Joshua McGregor writes, just to add clarity, it would be Fast X, Hobbs, and then Fast 11.
Yes.
One is out now, two are already being developed.
Yeah, I mean, again, it actually would make sense that was what Vin Diesel was talking about. Because especially with the box office result of Fast 10, there ain't going to be a Fast 12. All right, there just ain't going to be a Fast 12. Now, Hobbs and Shaw made money. I think Hobbs and Shaw made $760 million, which was more than Fast X is making in the box office and was more than what Fast 9 made. So, I mean, I could see why they would greenlight a Dwayne Johnson movie. And then they'll still do Fast 11, but again, they're not going to let it have the same budget that Fast 10 did.
Have they gone to Dubai yet in the Fast series? Well, the one with
That's a good question.
the one where the cars bust through the hotel windows and like drives out of the hotel.
Don't they go from one hotel to
Was
the
that
other?
Was
Dubai?
that in Dubai?
I don't know. I'm just trying to think of all the vacation spots Vin Diesel hasn't picked yet to go to.
They still have to go to Bora Bora.
Yeah, guys in the live chat are saying M. Joseph and Jermaine King are saying, yes, that was in Fast 7. It was in Dubai.
Okay, so they've gone everywhere. I mean, where else is there to race where you could actually have a good vacation?
Yeah, I'll tell you
Mars.
what. The Universal's going to go to them and say this time, this time the movie's shot in Los Angeles. That's where you're shooting, and that's it. You can
And
go as
one
far
parking
as
garage.
you can go as far as Orange County. Okay, you can go to the mystical, exotic lands of Orange County, but you ain't going to fucking Dubai this time unless you're paying for it yourself. All right, what's next?
I'm going to shoot in Harry Potter land at Universal. Joshua McGregor. Hey, John, a certain YouTuber stated that The Flash was very similar to Across the Spider-Verse because Lord Miller wrote a treatment of the beginning stages. You saw The Flash. Would you concur?
No.
And you shouldn't be comparing both movies. I mean, they're both good to me. They're both good movies.
I also see nothing. Bring up the question again, but I see no similarities between Flash and Across the Spider-Verse. I see no similarities at all, to be honest with you.
Is that one thing that he said true though? Did you hear about that? Lord and Miller. Is he talking about Lord
Like
and
the
Miller?
treatment for it?
Did the treatment for the Flash?
I have no. Listen, all we do know is that the Flash went through like 8 different sets of writers.
Yeah.
I have never heard that Lord and Miller one of those sets. Now, there is a team of writers, the guys that did Dungeons and Dragons and did Game Night. Jonathan, can you pull up their names for me? Or Ray, actually look them up. The guys who directed Dungeons and Dragons and they also did Game Night, they had been brought on, I believe, to write and direct the Flash movie at one point. And I think that would have been great.
Wasn't that Daly? One of the
Daly and
last
Goldstein.
names?
Daly and Goldstein, right? By the way, I love those guys. I thought Game Night is a wonderful, wonderful comedy. I thought Dungeons and Dragons was way better than it had any business being. I can't wait. It kind of made me lament that they didn't, but they just couldn't deal with Ezra Miller and they ultimately walked because Ezra Miller was a pain in the ass. But at the end of the day, I'm glad it ended on Andy Muschietti's lap. Andy Muschietti did a great job with the movie. But yeah, this movie went through like 8 or 9 different treatments and scripts and like 4 different sets of directors and all this kind of stuff. So I don't know that anything would have remained. And I personally don't see much similarity between Across the Spider-Verse or Flash, to be honest with you. But that's just me. All right. What's next?
John Redcorn writes, Transformers Rotten Tomato score is 58. Thought it would be higher.
I didn't. I didn't expect it would be higher.
It's on par with the original. It's one above the original at 57.
Yeah. See, that's the thing to me, right? It's like, remember, I keep trying to remind people of this. A 58 Rotten Tomatoes score is not saying that it's got a 58 grade. That is not a grade. A Rotten Tomatoes score is not a grade. It's telling you what percentage of the critics liked it. It's not giving it a grade. It's not an A, a B, a C plus. It's not like I see people going, well, that movie got a 68. That's only a C. No. Because it's not a grade. It's a numerical breakdown of how many liked it versus how many didn't like it. And for me, I was one of the 50-something% that really liked the first Transformers movie. So with this movie, like, listen, would I rather see that more critics like this new Transformers movie than just, what was the number? 55, 56?
58.
The original's 57. This one's 58.
Okay, so 58. Do I wish more liked it than 58? Yes, I do. But, I mean, that's still the majority of the critics like it. It's a higher score than what the first one got, and I like the first one, so I'm not going to think. But listen, it's a Transformers movie that's not being directed by Travis Knight. So, and I've got faith in Stephen Caple. I do. He did a really nice job with Creed 2, but I haven't seen enough of Stephen Caple to really have huge trust in him or not. So I said to myself before, I was just going to be happy if it was over 50%. If it's over 50% and you can legitimately say the majority of the critics like it, I'll take it. And now I'll go into Transformers tomorrow night. Ray, you and I are going to go see it tomorrow.
I'm still excited. It doesn't matter.
Still excited.
Doesn't matter what the critics say. Cares. No, I mean, I care more about like the audience score usually when it comes to these movies because sometimes they grade on a higher scale than I do myself. So, you know, they see things differently than I do. So I can't wait for tomorrow. It's going to be a blast, whatever.
I'm really excited about tomorrow. And you, me, Ryan, Jen, who some of you guys will remember was hanging out here for a while, helping us behind the scenes. 4 of us are going to go see it tomorrow. Very excited for it. All right, what's next?
All right. Yeah, Rihanna, I get 58 as an F in school, but this is thumbs up or thumbs down. 58 is a landslide victory in a vote.
Yeah, so. I mean, again, remember, in Rotten Tomatoes language, the 58 is not a grade.
Yeah, it's not a grade.
It's not a grade. It's telling you what percentage of people liked it and what percentage of people didn't. Yeah. It's a very, very different thing. Because the percentage of people liked it if the percentage of people who liked it were giving it a score, they may all have said A+. Right? But so remember, the score is not a grade. All right, what's next?
Mr. Graham91 writes, I feel it's unnecessary to review a movie based on personal feelings for one individual when hundreds of others worked hard on the movie for years.
You know, we talked about this, like I said earlier, we put out a separate video, a little short standalone video earlier today about the reviews of Rotten Tomatoes. And one of the things that I mentioned is that I was a little discouraged to see that it was just a couple of them.
But we knew that this was going to happen.
Yeah,
right?
we knew it was going to happen. So, well, what happened, John? So what happened was that a couple of the reviewers didn't even really review the movie. They just basically said, Ezra's in this movie, therefore it's a problem. And while I agree with that, right? I agree with that. Ezra should never be allowed to play Flash again. I'm 100%. I will not watch any more movies with Ezra Miller as Flash. If they are dumb enough to bring Ezra Miller back, I will not watch those movies. So I'm on their side. I agree. But when you're reviewing the movie, you need to leave that baggage at the door and do your damn job and just review the movie. I mean, that's what, now I'm not saying the average film fan can't, be affected, but if your gig is reviewing movies, talk about the problems with Ezra Miller in other articles, write articles, do editorials, do all those things. I agree with it. Go do it. But when it's time to review the movie, just review the movie. Review the movie on its own merits. And I agree Ezra Miller's problematic. I agree, but fine. Take that, leave it at the door. Now just watch the movie on its own merits. And if you like it, say you like it. And if you don't like it, say you don't like it. But don't bring in, well, Ezra's really a problem. And therefore, just like, then why are you reviewing movies? You're in the wrong gig.
Would you, would it be better, like, let's say, if a writer put a little disclaimer at the top that said, hey, watching this movie, I couldn't get my personal feelings, so take this review for what it is. Something like that, where they're open and honest with
do.
us.
If you openly disqualify yourself,
Yeah.
yes. Like if I opened up, like if it was such a big issue,
Yeah,
if it
and you
was
didn't realize
such
it
a big
until you
issue to
watched the
somebody,
movie.
right?
Right.
Then what I would be totally fine with is if a critic wrote, "Hey, full disclaimer before we start, the stuff with Ezra has impacted me and affected me more than I thought it would, and I was never able to separate the movie from that individual, and it tainted my viewing experience of the movie."
Okay.
If they said that right up front and was just, then all good. But to go on with it, like I read this one, I won't say the outlet. I read this one where literally half the review was just talking about Ezra Miller's problems and issues. It's like, I get that, because I have certainly talked a lot about Ezra Miller's issues, but not in my review, right? So I don't know. That's just a thing.
I'm tempted to actually go through on my own time and just be like, all right, whether you said, I don't care about his antics, I'm going to give it a thumbs up because I'm anti-canceling, or you said, oh, I just can't stand him no matter how good it was, I'm giving a thumbs down. Remove those, recalculate the percentage. I'd be curious after you take those out, where they actually just either liked the film or didn't.
Well, I tend to believe that it would be amongst actual registered reviewers, I think that would actually be a very small percentage.
Yeah, I didn't see that many.
Just like the ones who are just saying, I just didn't like this because Ezra's in it. That was actually just a very small handful compared to the overall critics. That doesn't affect the score very much. Again, that was just a
we're
tangent
talking
of
about
mine.
the DCEU here. They don't really have a great shot. So when I say it's my favorite DCEU movie, look at what they've released, and then maybe you'll be a little more understanding of why it's my favorite. I mean, you'll see it. You'll see why. I think a lot of people will agree with me.
All right, what's next?
Moulin Rouge writes, skipping an early screening of Flash and Transformers for Joyride. If this strays and the Blackening knock it out of the park, great year for comedies. That could be very true. It's been a while.
Is he seeing Joy? Did he say he's going to see Joyride?
Yeah, when you've seen Joyride, or are you just saying you're going to save your money and wait till Joyride?
Oh yeah, good.
Either way,
good choice.
Joyride is so good.
100%, baby.
So good. This is going to be a very high critically rated movie, and it deserves every score that it gets. I think arguably was my favorite movie of the year before I saw Across the Spider-Verse. It's just so funny. And if Strays can live up to its potential, because the freaking marketing has been next level. So funny. And I personally think Blackening looks really funny.
So do I.
If those three can, well, I already know Joyride hits it, but if Joyride hits it, if Strays does and Blackening, if those two films live up to their potential as well, this is going to be the best year for comedies in a while, because comedies have been in a bit of a dry spell. Like, there's been a great one here or there.
Right.
But it's not like the early 2000s when we were getting some like great classic comedies all the time. It's been a little bit rough for comedies the last couple of years. But if we can get those three out this year and just be fantastic across the board, that'll be bode pretty well for comedies. All right, what's next?
All right. James Argento writes, Ted Lasso season 3 felt different because Sudeikis took over as showrunner from Bill Lawrence, who worked on Shrinking and Vince Vaughn's show Bad Monkey.
I don't think that would have affected it nearly as much, except that they made the one creative choice to, instead of telling a story for the season, they decided to tell 12 stories. And every other episode was about a different cast member. And like, I think that was the biggest change. But when it was just focusing on Ted, doing Ted-like things, there's a great scene where, in one of the latter episodes, where Coach Beard goes to Nate's house. And it's a wonderful, moving, beautifully done scene. And when the show was focused on that in season 3, it felt just like all the other Ted Lasso episodes. I just think it was that one choice to kind of tell 15 different stories that kind of made it feel a little disjointed for people. I still liked it quite a bit, but I think that's why it felt so different. All right, what's next?
Okay. Jonte Hunter gives just some support here. Thank you very much.
Oh, thank you, Jonte.
That's great. And then Astro Zombies writes, in line to see The Flash right now. Cool. In Orlando. Can't wait to see it. Surprised I was able to get the free ticket to see it 10 days early. Woo,
yeah, I heard they're doing some fan screenings.
They have been for the past week or two.
To try to build some word of mouth. That's probably why the review embargo has been lifted so early at this point.
Yeah, and some of the YouTubers I actually watch, they've gone into the screenings, and all the ones I watched loved it. So
I think this is one of those ones where again, I wasn't expecting high 90s for Flash or anything like that, but this is one of the movies that I suspect the audience rating is going to be even. Again, a 73 is a very good score, but I think this is one where the audience rating's even going to be a little bit higher. I really do. I think people are going to have a good time. So I hope you have a very good time down there in Orlando watching Flash, because I know I had a great time watching this. I can't wait to watch it again.
He should write back in and let us know what he thought.
Yeah, make sure you do. Let us know what you thought of the movie. All right, what's next?
Orange Grow 55 writes, I think Apple Vision is an absolute game changer for Disney. The possibilities are seriously endless. Content, parks, etc. Just got to get that price down.
I think it's a novelty that people won't be talking about in 6 months. I really do. I was talking to a buddy of mine this morning. We were talking about the Apple Vision, and I sat down. I've watched the presentation twice now. And there are two fundamental things that come to mind for me about the Apple Vision. The first one is this. I didn't see one single thing in that presentation that I can't already do. Right? Like, you can open apps. Well, this can open apps and will work a lot better, by the way, work 100 times better. You can watch a movie. Well, I watch movies. As a matter of fact, here's an interesting little thing. I've got this glorious, Ann and I set up a glorious theater room in our garage. We converted our garage to this glorious theater room, 150-inch short throw laser projector. The image is beautiful and gorgeous. We've got a Sonos surround sound system in there. It's fabulous. We got this incredible, the most comfortable couch I've ever seen in my life in there. It's great. But you know what? 9 times out of 10, when we want to watch something, we just sit in our living room and watch it. We don't go in there. Now, for the big event stuff we do, again, I just didn't see anything that fundamentally is something I have never been able to do until this product comes along. And because of that, whatever. The second thing is, I think the novelty is going to wear off. I got a great drone. Ann bought me this fabulous, fabulous drone, and I loved it. And I used it almost every day for 2 weeks. And then I looked at it the other day on the shelf and I realized I haven't touched that in like 8 months. And I think a lot of
I
people,
don't mind, baby.
I think a lot of people are going to buy this Apple Vision thing. And I don't know, because I haven't tried it. Let me admit that. I'm saying all this having never tried it myself. I'm just saying, I believe this is going to be one of those things that's going to happen just like it did with the Oculus Quest. That people are going to buy it. They're going to swear it's the greatest thing ever. And they're going to use it all the time for like 2 months. And then it's going to sit in a closet. I just don't believe in this product.
Here's the only thing I'll say, or one thing I'll say about it, is that if you like, don't think about the price or whatever, this and that. VR has
How can
been.
you not think about the price?
No. I'm just saying. I appreciate.
If I was a salesman, I'd lead with
VR
that.
has been stagnant for years. I think VR has been stagnant for years,
has been,
and
yeah.
I appreciate Apple and Sony with their new VR pushing the tech forward. That's all we ever want.
Oh, I
is
agree.
What we know, let's push it forward and let's move forward with it instead of just trying to sell people on the same old stuff. I appreciate them trying to bring new stuff to this platform.
I mentioned this the other day. I was listening to Mac Break Weekly, one of the podcasts that I listen to, and they were kind of discussing, is this thing even going to catch on? But they said one thing that was very, very true. It feels like the whole space, the VR headset space, has been waiting for Apple to take their crack at it. And if it doesn't work, if it doesn't become the thing with Apple doing it, VR headsets are done.
Yeah, that's what.
At least for 5 to 10 years, VR headsets are done. Because if Apple doesn't do it this time, and it's going to be hard to get early adopters at a $3,500 price tag, again, for something that doesn't do anything my other Apple products don't do. I don't know.
It doesn't come out till next year, so you can start paying that thing off right now, baby.
Yeah, you start saving your money, pay it off, put down the down payment. All right, what's next?
Optimus Prime Rib writes, I still think some critics are fearful of going all in if they like the Flash. Fear of backlash or a feeling of bad for even appearing to support Ezra. That's stupid.
Let me.
I mean, I'm not saying what you're saying is stupid. I'm just saying that attitude would be stupid.
Let me be very, very clear about this. It is laughable when I hear people making excuses for why critics don't like the movie they like or do like a movie they don't like. It is, listen to me, I know a lot of film critics, okay? I know a lot of them. Never once have I ever known a film critic, ever, to say they liked something when they didn't, or say they didn't like something when they did. That is a pathetic, weak excuse that people make up to justify their own worldview. It's like, I don't want people to like this new Flash movie. Well, these critics liked it. Oh no. Well, that doesn't align with my world out there. Because some people are so mentally weak, they're like, oh, if somebody says they like something that I don't want to be good, that discredits me. No, it doesn't. Just because somebody else has that opinion doesn't discredit you and your opinion and what you feel about it. It's perfectly fine. But yeah, I cannot help that this bullshit myth that gets parroted by people who have no idea what they're talking about, and it gets parroted so much that people just accept that's true. Well, people only said they liked it because they were afraid of the back. No, that's bullshit. That's absolute bullshit.
And also, I think he's trying to say, I wish everyone would just go all in on their reviews. If they feel a certain way, just say it. Like, don't be.
But here's the thing, they do. That's what I'm saying. Like, if somebody says something nuanced, it's not because they're afraid to go all in. It's because how they felt about it was nuanced.
I mean, I'm gonna be open with everyone right now. Like, when I watched The Flash and I liked it, like, a part of me, just because I'm nobody on YouTube, like, was kind of like, should I tell people I liked it? Because there's some things
but you're not a professional film critic.
Yeah, but there's some things about it that might offend people that I don't want to, get on the toes on, just step on their toes. So I was like, should I release, or should I even say anything? But, I do like the movie, and I've said it.
But
I've
again,
said it over and
you're
over
not
again.
a professional film
Right.
critic. Like, I'm not saying that average film fans may not feel that way sometimes, but the professional film critics, they've seen thousands of movies. They review them all the time. Believe me when I tell you, how you respond to their review, they don't give one lick of thought to. They don't care at all. It's a complete myth made up by people who don't know what they're talking about to try to give an excuse for why people like something they don't, or vice versa. It's just, when somebody says they like something, they just like it. When they say they don't like something, they just don't like it. And this is the other frustrating thing about our community sometimes, and I'm a part of it, and all of us are a part of it, and sometimes we're all part of the problem. But one of the things that I think we do sometimes, and I've talked about this before, is we tend to be right now a 10 or 0 mentality, right? Every movie has to be perfect, and it's a 10 out of 10. And if you give, that's why I stopped giving scores to movies, because I could say something was an 8 out of 10. And people will go, oh, what's wrong with it? Why didn't you give it a 10? Because everything's 10 or 0. And so when a critic comes out, I've had this happen to me. Like every time I review a movie, right? I get some fucking brain dead moron. Like a movie that I liked, and I'll say, I had, here's the problems I had with the movie, but overall it did this, and this really well. And I enjoyed the film. I had a good time, right? Then every once in a while you get some fucking numbnut come in the comments section and go, you can tell he's just not really wanting to say what he says. Shut the fuck up, you ignorant piece of shit. I said what I said because that's what I thought. You may not like what I thought. You may disagree with what I thought, and that's cool too. But I said exactly what I thought. Like I said something, say, yeah, this movie was really charming. I had such a good time with it, blah, blah, blah. And then inevitably the review, well, you can tell that's John's not saying what he really thinks. He's like, oh my God, shut the fuck up, you fucking ignorant piece of shit. It's so frustrating. Again, I don't mind people coming to me and saying, I disagree with what you said. Cool, great. I agree with what you said. Cool. But it fucking irritates me so much when people say, you didn't say what you actually think. Buddy, if you wanted to really hear me say what I actually think about you right now, you wouldn't want to hear it. It's so frustrating.
I'm with you with the numbers thing. I was never a part of that because there's certain numbers where if I hear it, it could go either way. It could be confusing. Like a 6.5 for a video game, that might be really good to me. So I got to really get in there. The most I could say when I do my a review is it worth the money to go and see it? Yes or no. And that's all. That's my review.
Right. But that's why I stopped giving scores. I stopped giving scores years ago because I'd give something, say, a 7 out of 10, which to me, that's a good solid score. To me, a 7 out of 10 movie is a good solid score. That's like only 3 away from a 10 out of 10. That's a good solid score. And inevitably, I would have all these people say, oh my God, Campea hated that movie. Why didn't you give it a 10? It's like, you know what? What's the point in giving a score to a movie when everybody will interpret what that score means in different ways? Some people look at a 7 and say, wow, that must have meant it was a pretty damn solid movie, which is how I would mean it. And then other people saying, wow, you really hated the movie. It's like, what? It's just, it's crazy.
So tomorrow night, those on you on the fence about watching Rise of the Beast, I will tell you if you should stay home or you should go out and see it tomorrow. Me and John will tell you.
Get a couch or get a ticket.
The last rating system I had for movie reviewing was No, Go, and Ralph, right?
And good. I mean,
I don't know. For those of you who don't know what that system means, I would either say the movie is a no, which means you shouldn't see it. Go, which means, yeah, go see it. And then Ralph.
I know what Ralph is.
Now, Ralph.
Oh my God.
There was a story, for those of you who haven't heard this story before, there was legitimately, you can go look it up. There was a legit story that in the Brandon Routh Superman movie, Superman Returns, a story went out that in looking at dailies, studio executives instructed the visual effects people to digitally shrink down the bulge in Superman's pants. They said it was too distracting. So they had to go in and shrink it down. So a guy who was my co-host on my movie blog podcast, name's Darren Connolly. Darren Connolly said, I guess you could say that Brandon Routh had the complete package. So we evolved a movie rating system from no, go, and complete package. We refer to it as Routh. And Routh was the highest score. That is the last scoring system I ever used for movies. So there you go.
Well, let's leave that one alone.
And we used that scoring system for like a year.
Don't bring it back.
I'm going to bring it back.
I thought Ralph was middle. I was like,
Nope.
Maybe
It was the complete package.
It's the middle. It's like between something, between
It's
two legs.
between
Yeah,
something.
it's your choice. Whatever. I don't know.
It's brought to you by Manscaped. All right. Yes. What's next?
All right. Charles Durai writes, "Hey, John, looking forward to seeing Flash next week. Wondering if I can take my 9-year-old son. Since you have already seen the movie, in your opinion, is the Flash appropriate for a 9-year-old kid? Thanks."
By the way, Charles sent in a $20 super
yes.
chat. Thank you for that, man.
Thank you for that.
First of all, every kid is different, so I can't speak to it. My general answer would be, I think you're okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think you're okay. There's some little bit darker stuff, but nothing darker than you're not going to see in a lot of the Disney. Than like fucking Lion King when Simba watches his father die trampled by 1,000 wildebeests. Yes,
Yeah.
I think this one is good. I think you're okay to bring your kid.
I mean, was there blood? Do you remember blood in it? I don't think there's much. If there's a problem with blood, maybe not, but I don't remember.
There's a little, but
Yeah, but
it's comic book action.
Yeah, yeah.
I think you're okay. But again, take that with a grain of salt that again, every kid is different and only you know the sensitivity level of your kid. So, but in general, I would say I feel comfortable recommending that a parent can take their kid to it. But again, your mileage may vary. All right, what's next?
All right. Gek9 Production writes, "Thoughts on the difference between Rotten Tomatoes and Metacritic?"
I prefer the Rotten Tomatoes level because the Rotten Tomatoes is a much purer score. It's simply, this is the percentage of critics that like it versus the percentage of critics that don't. And it doesn't bring into the equation of, because again, to every individual, a score means something different. A 78 to you will mean something different than 78 to somebody else. Metacritic literally takes the scores that critics give movies and average it out, right? And because one score means something completely different to somebody else, which we've already covered, I don't put as much value on that. I prefer the Rotten Tomatoes system of a pure, did you like it or did you not like it? Simple, can't be misinterpreted, right? There's no misinterpreting there. You either say, I liked it or I didn't like it.
Right.
And then the number simply tells you the percentage of them that said they liked it. I much prefer that system because the numerical score thing means different people to everybody, and it's not as pure of a score to me. But that's, other people disagree. That's perfectly fine. But I find the Rotten Tomatoes approach to it much better. All right, what's next?
All right. Jason Loracella writes, "Do you think the Dark Universe can be revived?"
No. No. Which is really too bad because honestly, I don't think that Tom Cruise's The Mummy movie was the burning trash pile that some people make it out to be. It wasn't great. Don't get me wrong. It wasn't great. But, oh yeah, there's that infamous picture that they put out never to get past the first film. Remember that? Universal put out this picture. Look at the cast of the upcoming Dark Universe films. Oh my, this is going to be so good. And then they made the first one and had to ditch it after that. And again, like I said, I thought The Mummy was okay. It wasn't great, but I didn't think it was the burning trash pile. I wanted to see more Russell Crowe. I wanted to see more of these movies, but no, the time that they had to maybe try to bring that back. Now listen,
They'll
we'll
try it
see.
again. They'll try it again.
I don't think they'll try a Dark Universe again, but I do think they'll try the individual classic movies again. I think you'll see another Invisible Man movie.
Yeah, definitely.
They'll try a Wolfman movie again, but I don't think they're going to try to re-kickstart this shared cinematic Dark Universe.
But the classic monsters will always be a part
absolutely,
of the
100%. And is that it?
That's it.
All right, guys. And that'll do it for today's installment of the John Campea Open Mic Show. Thank you so much for being here, making this show part of your day. Big special thank you to all you guys who sent in the tip questions, the super chats, number one, because you give us really great fun things to talk about. Number two, you supported our channel as you did it, and all of us involved with the show. Thank you guys so very much for your support. Couple of reminder, guys. Don't forget that the John Campea Show, the main show, is now a podcast. Go and find the John Campea Show podcast on your favorite app of choice, whether it's on Apple, whether it's on Spotify, whether it's on any Podbean, whatever your podcasting app is. Go search for the John Campea Show podcast and subscribe to it today. And make sure you guys come back and join us again tomorrow. So For Ray Aura, Jonathan Voico, my name's John Campea. Thanks so much, guys. And until next time, my friends, bye-bye.